So Dinah, you want to help me with this video? All right, let's do it then. What's going on, you guys? This is Erica's for the win and Dinah. We hope you're doing very well. We are going to rank the bosses in Eldest Souls, because that's what I do every time we beat a Souls-like or Souls game. We go ahead and rank the bosses on their difficulty. So here is the Eldest Souls bosses ranked from easiest to hardest. So yeah, you probably know what's here first at number 9 as the easiest boss, and that is the Watchdog. This is the first boss of the game, somewhat of a tutorial boss. It just kind of gives you the basics, you know how to dodge, you know how to attack, and his moves are really slow, so it's very easy to dodge away from his attacks, set up to go ahead and use your charge attack, and just get used to that mechanic and how it works. And it helps you understand how you get your health back and all of that. He's got one kind of lunge attack. He's got a move where he puts his sword down in the ground and covers the area around him, which, it lets you know where and how much space you need to put between you. Other than that, I mean, he attacks you, gives you plenty of windows to attack back, and he's not much of a big deal. Watchdog here as the easiest boss. And I say that with no hesitation. Now on to number 8, we have the Guardian. This is the second boss in the game, and he actually killed me a few times. This is when I was really starting to get in tune with the whole charge attack and timing that, separating myself from his attacks and kind of understanding how this game works. It's easy to get greedy in this fight, so if you're anything like me, you kind of stayed in there a little too long and was open to dying. That happened to me a few times. He has this big shield in front of him, so that makes it a little bit more difficult in terms of getting some hits in the front of him. So it's a lot of getting behind him, which is very Souls-like, nothing new. It's something I do with many bosses. So I understood that right away. Got to get behind him, attack him, and just watch out for his big attacks, which consist of covering a huge radius. He has a swing attack that he does, he has a charge attack that he does, and it's just a matter of controlling that stamina, saving that stamina, and getting it back. If you can hit perfect dodges during this fight, that helps, but I felt like with him, that wasn't always so consistent, so I was running out of stamina, and that's what got me into trouble. And then with his big attacks, like his lunges, I would just get caught. So he does present a good challenge for the beginning of the game. It helps you understand, obviously, that stamina is important and that your charge attack is definitely something you need to use in this game. And this kind of solidifies it. So this boss, I think, was a good second boss for the game. It really had me understanding the mechanics a bit more. But other than that, and other than dying because of learning the game, he really didn't pose that much of a challenge. I got it done in maybe 4 or 5 tries and then moved on to the rest of this list. Next at number 7, we have Ariana, First of the Moon. This boss was really not that difficult as long as I wasn't greedy. It's so easy to get greedy because it's not very hard. As long as you avoid the spikes that come out, the spears, or whatever you want to call them, which you do get a visual cue for, as long as you don't get hit by those and just avoid the white laser attacks that come out, this boss really is a piece of cake. It's not too bad because there's just so much opportunity to be up close and personal and just attack like crazy and get your health back if needed. Because there's going to be a couple times you're probably going to get hit, of course. There's some bullet hell that happens. There's a big drop down attack that this boss does where it's like a big bubble that drops down. It clearly notifies you that it's coming. Same thing with the laser attacks. There's a couple of those you have to dodge, but once you do, I mean, you're right back in there ready to attack and go in on this boss. There's just so much room for you to attack that you're able to do so much damage and get this boss done. There's also these diamonds that kind of set up post where the lasers will come out from those. All you have to do is hit those and kill them, and you don't have to worry about those attacks. So once you get that down, I mean, it's really not that bad. I didn't have too much trouble with this boss. Died more than a few times, of course. You're gonna die a lot in this game, but compared to the other bosses ahead on this list, not nearly as much when it came to death. So right here at number 7, Ariana, I think it's very fair. I think they belong here. And yeah, so let's continue and go on to number 6. Here we have at number 6, Druck, Murr The Nightmare. I hope I'm saying that right. But Murr, personally, I thought this was the best fight in the game. Visually, mechanically, design-wise, everything about this boss I thought was really cool. And it's my most favorite of the game. This guy, though, overall, isn't that bad because I feel like the way it plays out, it's so fair and it's so choreographed in a way that you're prepared for what's coming. There are these red orbs that do come out and you need to avoid these. Now, if you are hit by these orbs, which I was not in my successful run, I was able to avoid them. But when you are hit by them, it sends you to this other part where you have to kill minions, you have to break down these mirrors in order to get back. And that could bring a lot more difficulty. So if you are not avoiding the red orbs, this guy is probably going higher in your list as far as the most difficult. But because I was able to get that down and avoid them, even if it was very slowly, I just had to do what I had to do to get through it, it worked out much easier. And you have the mirrors that come down, easily avoidable. I just thought that was really fun in the way of like having to maneuver through the mirrors and maneuver from his bubble attacks, I guess you call them, his orb attacks, the orbs that come down. It gives you plenty of notice, whether it's the audio cues or visual cues, you get them both and you're able to just dodge through. It makes the fight flow very well. And because of that, I just felt like my momentum never stopped and it became easier as it went. It does, have its challenges. It's not easy by any means, but overall, I just thought this fight was very balanced in the way of like it made it make sense and it just felt really good and the difficulty didn't seem that high. So that's why I have it here at number 6. And it's for good reason because the bosses coming up were not so flowing, if you get what I'm saying. So yeah, let's get to number 5, which is Ezekiel God of Light. This boss right here, I did a how-to on it. I thought I grasped how to beat this boss very well because I died many times. Ezekiel deserves to be in the middle of the pack because the moves are very telegraphed and give you plenty of warning. So they're not so difficult to where you feel like they come out of nowhere or anything like that. You have plenty of hints of what is happening. You just got to execute, manage your stamina and dodge through them. And that could be a struggle at times. If you're getting greedy, like I have plenty of times, if you're not understanding what's coming next, because he's got a variety of moves and he has multiple phases. So at the beginning, you have this set, for example, where he puts down his weapon and then on the whatever arm or whatever hand he puts it down, an attack happens throughout the whole floor of that section. In the second phase, he does both sides. So it's a matter of you learn the first phase and what he's doing, then the second phase you kind of double it. Same thing with his laser attacks. And he just multiplies things. And then you have these other lasers that come through where it's total bullet hell. Reminds me of Fury, where it's just lasers and you gotta dodge through them. And the dodge and stamina struggle can be very real. So if you're out of stamina, you're struggling, you're not hitting perfect dodges, you're getting hit and things like that, that could be your downfall. So because of the variety of all the attacks and how quick this fight is and how much on your toes you have to be, that's why I feel Ezekiel is tougher than the bosses I before mentioned. He's here at number 5, the middle of the pack, and I think it's very fair. Next at number 4, we have Exil Princeps, which is the final boss of the game. And what a final boss it was. I did enjoy this fight. Yes, Dinah, yes, it's the final boss. I promised I'd include it, yes. Yeah, see, Dinah did not like this fight. Clearly has things to say about it. She struggled. But for me, it wasn't the worst thing ever. You would think with the final boss, it would be incredibly hard, incredibly difficult. But I felt this boss, as far as the pacing and the variety of the actual attacks, I felt like they were easy to learn. It just took a few tries of dying, of course. But once I kind of got it down, I knew what I had to do, and it was all execution. Sometimes it was luck. There were certain moves that he would cover the entire ground, and you'd have to dodge all the way to the bottom corners, which I usually failed at, and I was killed. So if those attacks did not happen, I had a better chance. And sure enough, my final attempt when I got it done, he did not do that. So that is a factor for sure. That's probably what Dinah is talking about. It can be very difficult. But as far as everything else, I mean, the stamina, I felt I was able to control very well. I was able to dodge into the boss and put hits in. So I was constantly there, constantly in the right position. And so it really just came down to managing those dodges, getting it done. And there are technically 3 phases, but the first 2 are the ones you really got to fight through. The third one, it's just a matter of dodging that circle at the end and then just attacking. You have to constantly attack, or I think you could be in trouble if you don't. I wouldn't know because I was just hacking away. I wanted it done. But like, yeah, I think if you weren't so accurate and you got hit by those circles or whatever, you could be in danger there, from my understanding. But overall, I felt this boss was a good challenge. I died enough to know that, but it wasn't so bad where I was there all day. It took maybe an hour or something like that. And I did it on stream on top of it. And as a final boss, just good design, cool moves, cool attacks, and I really felt like a queen beating this boss. So yeah, here at number 4, Exil. Number 3, we have Hyam of the Frigid Waste. This dude gave me trouble. Let me tell you, I was on this guy for a minute. I might have given this guy my most deaths behind number 1 on this list. The reason number 2 is there at it as it is, you'll find out. But for this guy, Hyam, the attacks that he has, and I did a how-to on this boss as well, he has these delayed attacks, especially the one where he pounds his hand into the ground and then a big ice spike comes up. There's a hesitation there. So the pacing and the timing of that, it took me a minute to learn because I was always panic dodging at the beginning. I would see him raise his arm and then I would immediately dodge, and then I would be out of stamina a lot of the times and I would get hit. If I didn't have a full meter of health, I was pretty much dead. So that got a little frustrating. Also, he has different attacks with the ice, of course, that I had to learn. The attack where he puts down sections of frost on the ground, that was a matter of having to dodge and get into the right spots and not get hit. Whew, I was moving. I had to really keep moving. I had to be in position to attack him because he does move a lot compared to the other bosses. And yeah, it was a lot of charging into him, timing that right, keeping my stamina where it should be. And yeah, it's just such a quick fight and so quick to die on that I was just constantly dying, then jumping in, dying, then jumping in. And I died a lot because of that, because it's just so quick and so easy for things to just go bad. You could have a really good start and you just get hit with no stamina and it's all over after that. So yeah, Hyam here really deserves this number 3 spot because number 2, I think, mechanically posed more issues and I felt it was more out of my control. So let's get into it. Number 2, Dear God and Warden of Purity. So this is a double boss. You start off with the Dear God, which takes some time to learn. He's quick. He's got these flowers that help you help him, not me, sorry, help him during the fight. And it can be frustrating and annoying. This fight, I think, was the most annoying. If you watch my live commentary, you will clearly hear that I'm annoyed with the fight. Because after you even beat this dude, you have the Warden of Purity who comes out, straight as a Titan Souls reject out here, he comes out here and makes his presence known. And this is where I felt some things got a little tricky, especially at first, because I wasn't understanding it. I felt like I didn't understand how I was dying, even though as you watch it, maybe from the outside, it's clear, but when you're in the middle of it, it's confusing at times. I remember just asking myself, like, what the heck happened? How did I die? And then over the next few deaths, I started to understand, like, oh, he does this thing, and then he electrocutes one side, and then he does the other side, and it's not so clear at first. I think that's what makes this boss fight high in the list, because a lot of the bosses in the game give you clear visual clues. But in this fight, you don't necessarily get those right up front. The more you play it, you see them, but not right up front. So dodging through the lasers and dodging through these walls, because you can't be inside the walls when he puts them down. You got to get out because it electrocutes and you got to get the heck out. So that was tough, especially with low stamina, or if I was already getting hit and I was trying to get my health back. It was like I was trying not to be greedy, but at the same time, I need that health. It became desperation and just panic dodging. So the timing of things, it took a minute to get down, and I struggled. I definitely struggled during this fight, and more so I think because I was getting frustrated. And you know how it goes. The more frustrated you get, the worse you play, and it just, it becomes a cycle. So once I kind of just did it and I just got my head straight, I was able to get it done, but it took a minute to get there compared to the other bosses. So that's why this boss is so high on the list. And finally at number 1, you're probably not surprised. If you played this game, I'm sure you had some trouble. And if not, hey man, maybe you're the Souls King or Queen that I will never be. Here at number 1 as the hardest boss in Eldest Souls, Eos, God of Unity. I did a how-to, it's doing very well, so that should tell you people are struggling with this boss, and for good reason. There's multiple phases and multiple health bars. You see the blue bar, which is like a shield bar, basically. You got to get that down to get onto the red bar. So it can feel like a very long, drawn-out fight. And I was feeling that for sure as I fought this guy. It just seemed so long. And I wasn't frustrated necessarily, maybe with the exception of a few times, but it was just more so the tediousness of it, trying to get to that final part of the fight. And then even when you do, it throws a fast one at you. It doesn't necessarily end when you think it's going to end. And it's like, damn, this just does not end. And it gets to the point where you make a mistake, probably because you're just in it too long. And that's what was happening to me. I would start really well, and then I would feel like, man, this just doesn't end. I'd make a dumb mistake and then have to start all over. So it can feel defeating in that way of like, man, it took so long to get there. Now I gotta do it again. That was the struggle, I'd say, with this fight. Also, you have the ice and the fire, having to learn all of that and how the ice offsets the fire and vice versa, and then learning to accept the ice as your best friend and understand, oh, I need this ice to clear the field. I gotta wait for this to happen, that I gotta line myself up in order to, do my charge attacks and get my health back and all of that. And it can just feel overwhelming. There's just so much going on. And then understanding the second phases of the phases where you are on the red health bar of the boss, and understanding you have to dodge into the middle to attack the ice one, and then if it's the fire one, you got to stay on the outside, and it's just a whole learning experience that took a while to get down. So clearly it needed a how-to video from me. I made it, and it's doing pretty good. So yeah, I'm not alone on this. I would imagine a lot of you guys are gonna have this as number 1. And if not, hey man, it's all different experiences, right? That's why I always say it's so fun to do these videos and see how other people compare to my lists, because we all have that different ranking when it comes to the bosses. Some bosses I might think are hard, others think are easy, and vice versa. So that's why I always enjoy doing these videos, and I hope you enjoyed this one. That is my list for the Eldest Souls bosses, ranked easiest to hardest. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Be sure and like the video, subscribe if you enjoyed. And that's it for me, you guys. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in my next video. Peace.